Okay, it's day 2 of the hearing. the WRC hearing in which I was involved in June. I've made a video about the first day, which was in June 2023. I made a vlog about it and I'll post it. Actually, I'll post it up. I think it's up this side it'll be. So that'll be day one. Today then is day two of this hearing in the Workplace Relations Commission. Today the employer will be giving evidence, and the employer will be giving evidence through various HR people, I presume, and it'll be my job to cross-examine the witnesses. So obviously I have to cross-examine the witnesses to the best effect of my client, and there is a skill to cross-examination. There is a lot of art to it as well, but there is a real skill to it, and you'll see the top barristers being very, very good, especially the criminal barristers being absolutely excellent at cross-examination. On the other hand, you will see TDs in the Dáil, for example, with those Dáil committees, bringing in the likes of Tubridy or RTE or whoever, the HSE for questioning, and the questioning is less than forensic. The cross-examination is pretty poor, and it's more in the nature of sound bites and so on. Publicity seeking and sound bites are not what I need today. What I need today is good forensic cross-examination of the witnesses. I need to test their evidence, and there's a couple of weaknesses in the case that I need to probe, and if I can probe those areas well, then I'll do my client a good service, and I will put myself and my client, more importantly, in a better position to win the case. So what is said today will be of vital importance, and my job though will be a difficult one insofar as I need to listen very, very carefully to what is being said in evidence. And I need to make notes myself as I go along and write down the questions in my book here. It's arguable one way or the other whether, I'd be better off having perhaps somebody with me there to give me a hand and so on, but I think I'm doing it my own way for quite a while, that there's no big deal, but it will require a fair degree of concentration. And when you're listening to 2 or 3 people giving evidence over the course of a couple of hours, and you're listening very, very carefully, and you're listening to particular things that you want to hear and things that you really don't want to hear, and you're writing down your questions as you go, then it requires a huge degree of concentration and is very, very tiring. Actually, I'll be shattered after it. But that's the game, that's the nature of it. So the last day, just to be clear, my client, the complainant, the employee who brought the claim, he gave evidence and he was cross-examined. And then today, the other side, the respondent side, the employer side, will give evidence and I get to cross-examine. And then we'll have closing submissions or final submissions if the adjudicator invites us to give them. And that will be that. We'll be hoping for the best then. So that's the plan. I've got to put the head down now and just focus, and I need to have a look through the submissions from both sides, my side and the other side, and look at the evidence that's likely to be given, because let's face it, the evidence that's likely to be given is probably already set out in the submission from the other side, but there is possibilities that clangers will be dropped or smoking guns will be left on the table, or on the table, metaphorically of course, and those smoking guns will have to be picked up and used as best we can. So that's the story. It's 6:30 now, and I'll probably leave here at 7, half 7, maybe 8 o'clock. The hearing then is in Ballsbridge. So that's the story.
Harvard University, of course. Now he's a grown man. Different from the boy back then, but still a grifter. Just...
just back from the hearing there now, the second day of the hearing in the WRC. It's 20 to 2, having my lunch now. But the hearing this morning, the other side gave evidence, and the evidence that was given by the other side, by the employer's side, employer's representatives, was not helpful to my client at all. And the evidence they were giving, they were sticking to it very much. In other words, if my client was claiming and had claimed the last day that he did certain things or made it clear what his job was, the evidence today was that he didn't at all. So the difficulty always is there's a conflict of evidence, there's a conflict between what my client said and what he said in evidence and what the other side have said in evidence today. So that makes it very, very difficult. The adjudicator, I believe, is definitely going to find in favour of the employer. I'd be absolutely stunned if we were successful, but we'll see what happens. Obviously, it's open to us then to go to the Labour Court if we want, but whether that happens or not remains to be seen. Obviously, we have to wait for a decision. But I suppose the one takeaway from today's hearing is, and I've said it many, many times before, if you are running a case or trying to run a case or bring a case, and you can choose between, or you must choose between having the facts in your favour or having the law in your favour, having the facts in your favour is a huge advantage, because if the facts are in your favour, then you're going to be cock of the walk, quite frankly. You're going to be in a very, very strong position, assuming the law is in your favour. Whereas if the facts are not in your favour, and if the facts go against you, well, then you can make any argument that you like. You can make any simple argument or complex argument. You can make any argument you like under any act you like, or under common law or whatever. But if the facts don't support you, then you're going to have a hard time winning a claim. And in this particular case, the facts today, the evidence given, was not supportive and not helpful to our case. As I say, the adjudicator now has a choice between whose evidence she prefers, whose version of events is more plausible, is more credible, is more likely, and that would probably decide the case. And that being the case, I wouldn't be holding my breath for a favourable outcome. Obviously, we can go to the Labour Court if we want, but whether the employer or whether the employee, my client, wants to do that or not, I don't know. Many employees find the whole WRC situation and hearing and so on stressful enough, and it can be difficult enough for a person whose English is not his first language as well, and who's hearing everything through an interpreter. And it's not just difficult for him, but it's difficult for his representative as well. But anyway, that is the situation. So there you go, day 2 of the hearing over. Wouldn't be holding my breath, would be amazed, quite frankly, if we were successful, but let's wait and see. Okay, so it's the day after, the next day after the case there yesterday, and I've had the opportunity to sleep on it. I'm a great believer in making decisions after sleeping on things, after turning things over in my mind, and I'm convinced of a few things about this particular case. One, I don't believe my client got a fair shake, and I don't believe that the case was conducted fairly, for whatever reason. 2, I believe it's absolutely certain that the adjudicator will find against my client, find against us, and will find that his case is not proved and not upheld. 3, I would be advising my client and encouraging my client to appeal the case to the Labour Court, because I do believe that this case has real merit. I don't think that it was given a fair chance either on the first day or the second day. And for whatever reason, I believe and firmly believe that that is the way that it panned out. But I do think that his case has merit. I do believe that he has a chance of winning at the Labour Court, and I'm going to advise him to appeal to the Labour Court, because I'm certain that the result will go against us, and I will be encouraging him to appeal to the Labour Court. He will be reluctant to, because he's had enough of what he describes as court, even though the WRC obviously is not a court and the Labour Court is not a court either. that's another day's work, and he has found it stressful enough. Having said that, I'm hoping that if he is advised and encouraged to go to the Labour Court, then he may find the courage, and he may have a rethink and decide he will go ahead with it. There is a couple of things I need to clarify with him first, but that would be my view, and as I say, that's after sleeping on it and after turning the whole case over in my mind, and in particular the way that it was conducted, the way that it was carried on. I've never had this sense of injustice or unfairness before after a WRC hearing, quite frankly, and I've won plenty of them and I've lost plenty of them, but I've never gone away afterwards and said, God, that was really unfair. He or she really had it in for us, or we weren't getting a fair shake. I never had that feeling before. I have that feeling about this case for whatever reason. So maybe I'm misjudging it completely. Maybe the case has no merit, but I don't believe that's the case. I believe this case does have merit. I believe he should win, but I believe there's absolutely no chance that this adjudicator is going to find in our favour. So I will be advising him and encouraging him to go to the Labour Court, and I will certainly be more than willing to represent him and assist him in that, if that's what he decides. Hope you find this video useful. This is video 2 of a 2-part series. Part 1, I will put a link up here to it, and on part 1 then I'll put a link to this video. Maybe there'll be a part 3, maybe part 3 will be the Labour Court. Let's wait and see.